Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of our Chromebook Classroom. Today, I am joined by my friends from the Inclusive team once again to be able to showcase amazing digital tools that just make learning awesome for everyone. And so with me today, I have both Jessica and Carmen. Hello, my friends. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And so do you want to take a moment to just tell everyone who you are?
Yeah, so my name is Carmen Gartner. I am part of the Inclusive team.
And I'm Jessica Sereni, and I'm also part of the Inclusive team.
I love it. And so today we are going to be able to look more at UDL strategies. We've talked about the UDL line strategies in other ones of our videos. And I think what's so powerful is, as we've shared this site before, we're going to share it again in a link below this video, is the whole idea of the choices we can create in our classroom, but we are not having to run around creating 12 versions of a lesson or a version for the majority of the class and something separate for other students. And I think what's so great is today you've chosen a strategy. We're going to do a right around strategy that we've probably done in our classrooms before. Traditionally, on paper, we go around from station to station, but you have an amazing free tool, easy for teachers to set up, that's going to completely level the playing field for all of our students, as well as offer assistive technology.
Yeah, you bet. And what I love about Jamboards is really kind of hits all of these strategies, the engagement, the representation, and the expression. I always did this in my grade 7 class, the chart paper, the different colored markers. And after a while, they're getting tired of writing things. But what I love with this Jamboard is that you can add whatever you want. Pictures, text, you can add sticky notes. It's very, very cool. You can draw. So students love it. And I find this keeps them engaged throughout the process.
The best part is you can reuse it every single year and modify it. You can make many different frames. So instead of having to keep those chart papers up in your classroom for way too long or take pictures of them on your phone and then you lose them, and you can actually save them and then open it up and reuse it, modify it, whatever you want to do. And students can have a copy of it too, which is great.
Yes, and it's perfect for studying.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You don't need to worry about notes. These are your notes. It's the whole class participated, and everyone has a copy to review before the exam.
Well, I love that you're talking about copies. We're going to show some of those things, but this can be my teacher instructional slides, my frames. This can be a student demonstration of workspace. This can be a collaborative space, all on the same tool. And anybody new to Jamboard, you can absolutely assign it as make a copy in your Google Classroom for your students to be able to work on. But we're going to kick this off. You're going to show us Jamboard. Now, Carmen, for any of us that are new, how do I make a new Jamboard if I'm ready to do that? Where do I go first?
Okay, so the first thing you want to do is get into your Google Drive. Very easy to do. Once you're here, you can click New. And because I don't use Jamboard that often, well, actually, I just learned about it. So, of course, it's not up here with my favorites. Go down to More, and you will see there is Google Jamboard. So just click on that, and it'll load for you.
This is so great. And so for Jamboard, the things that we would typically call slides, they're called frames. You can have up to 20 frames in one Jamboard, and you can have up to 50 people in one Jamboard. So an amazing collaborative tool for our classrooms, or of course for independent work as well. And the same sharing settings, that same Google feel that we have in all of the other Google apps absolutely apply to this. And so we wanted to be able to set this up as a bit of a teaching space and then have a student workspace. And so you've pre-created a bit of an environment for us to think about what really does a right around strategy mean, and how does that help our students?
Do we want to just explain briefly what the right around typically is?
Yeah.
So people, okay,
Sure.
So typically the right around is you have different, I guess if you're using chart paper, let's say different stations set up, and students would go and write everything they know about a topic. It could be at the beginning of a unit. It could be in the middle to see what students are learning. It could be at the end as kind of a summative. So they would write everything they know, kind of just collaborate, brainstorm, write it out, and then they would move to the next station. Okay, that's is the key part, where they would add to the chart that was written by the previous group, and they keep going round and round and round that way. So we're taking that idea and putting it into the digital Jamboard.
Fantastic. That's so great. And so
Okay.
you pre-created one, right?
That's right. Yes. So what we did was we took a topic in grade 7. We're looking at different Indigenous communities before pre-contact. And so we created this little Jamboard for our write around. So we have, I put the instructions on the first screen, and students can read that. They'll have their own copies. But how we see this being set up is having 7 Chromebooks at different tables, and students we'll put them into groups. They'll start at one table and then they'll rotate, and they'll just keep adding, maybe reading the comments of their classmates, commenting on that, and moving that way.
And if I wanted to, if I was at maybe perhaps an online teacher, my students aren't physically in that physical space, I could still use something like this in a breakout room, or, you know, where I have all of the 7 different slides and frames available to us. And so we can flexibly approach this depending on if our students are online or in person, or however we want to be able to do that. Even if you have one device, don't be scared to do this, because we can really, you know, collaboratively share and do that. But this is so great. And so beyond the teacher slides, you now have an instructional space, but you created a bit of an exploration space here for students to do a little bit of background work.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what we have here is we have a link to the map. So nativeland.ca is a website where you can actually explore First Nations peoples from around the planet. So you can click on a continent or a country and explore further. And then what we put below here is an example from the textbook, so the grade 7 textbook that we would be using. So you can actually have students compare to this very interactive website and the textbook, and kind of look at both, compare and contrast them.
That's so great. And then students could really, you could collaboratively have sticky notes for anybody, you know, coming to this frame. Any of those groups could have that sticky note that gets added to this slide. Love
That's
it.
right.
That's so great. And then now you've got our 7 stations. And so you've set us up a bit of an example on one where we can see we had sort of that template. I don't know if we want to show the template portion of it first before we show the one that is filled in. We went from having this blank one, we set up one, and it was so easy to set up that visual structure. I've shared this before. I think death by blank page is a real thing for our students. You're staring at this space and you don't even know where to begin. And so you really used an amazing strategy of sort of setting up that visual schema for our students to help organize their thinking.
That's right. So all we did was, of course, I didn't make slides for every group we'll be studying, but what I did was just give them some key starters. So over here, I clicked on the sticky note, and then we have different colors. So food is yellow, and just put them up here. And of course, like, you could make them bigger, and then I could have students add a sticky note, or maybe they even want to add a picture.
Oh, I love this.
Look at different types of root vegetables, and students could just insert some of the things that were popular in this community's diet.
So it doesn't just have to be print. I can have those text sticky notes, but I love that. And all of the images inside of Jamboard, when you use that insert image, they are Creative Commons copyright-free images. So we're teaching that good digital citizenship skill of being able to use those images. That's great.
Another thing I really love are the shapes here. Now, the reason why I like this is when we look at governance within the different communities, we can add a little chart, right? We could have exactly. We could do a Venn diagram, whatever we want, just on each screen, on each frame.
Frame, yeah, that's great. That's great.
Back here.
Now, when it comes to our students, because we don't want to remove print, I love that we've got things like you've created some color tagging, some category. We've created that schema. We can insert images. But I think something that's really neat is we're not removing print, we're removing the barriers of print. And so there's some great tools that we can use to help us both with the reading and the writing of print inside of Jamboard.
That's right. So that's where we're going to talk about inking and this fantastic tool right there. That's right. So you can click on that pen and actually select like how bold you want the text to be. And then you can actually just write on just like you would with chart paper. So it's very easy. You can circle something, put arrows. You could write notation there. You could do lines to connect it.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
There's so much you could do with that tool.
And then the other accessibility piece that we know we've had it now for 7 years in our division is Read and Write for Chrome completely works in here, right?
That's right. So all we have to do there is click on our puzzle piece and it'll drop down and we can have things read to us. So if we go back to the instructions, I'm still on the eraser. How do I get rid of
click your arrow under the eraser. There you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I can highlight my text with
give it a little double click. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, I can highlight this. I can have it read to it probably won't work because
we're in Teams. Yeah.
Right. So there is that capability where we can use this. We can use the online, the picture dictionary, highlight, all sorts of things.
Well, and I also love because the speech to text work in the sticky notes. So if I select a sticky note and I select my speech to text, and it might work. We'll see. We're in Teams. If you click that speech to text icon, the one that one right there, talk and type, and just say allow. And so talking, I'm telling you what I'm thinking, and then go ahead and, it caught it. It's very funny when we're both here, but now you can say save and turn that off. Yeah.
There it is.
I love it that it says perfect. It works. It does work. Now, as a teacher, I'm thinking, okay, this feels like a lot to set up. But really what we set up that one kind of key student workspace slide. And I think what's really great is if I set up my master frame, so that kind of blank frame that we had, it's so easy to be able to pull down all of our different frames up where it says that 4/5, and we can see a little arrow in the middle there. And what happens is I can actually click those 3 dots, the ellipses, on any one of my frames. And what I can really quickly do is I can duplicate a frame. So once I set up that student workspace for the first write around, it's so easy to duplicate it and just change the name of that topic, but they still get all of that graphic organizer that's coming. And then one last little piece to say, you mentioned before, we end up with these chart paper in our rooms and we take pictures and what do we do with it? One great feature of Jamboard, just to the ellipses to the left of the share button, we can actually do a couple things, and that's downloaded as a PDF. Now this whole thing is saved, it's shared, it can be used as study notes. And I think that's so good. And like you said, before, Jessica, I can use this over and over again. It's really easy to use the version history and be able to go back to it and get kind of rid of all the student work, go back to that original one that I set up so that I can use it again for another class. You can't do that with chart paper.
That's right. So how would I do that? How can I go back to my revision?
So right there, you see at the bottom, it says see version history. And then you would go back to the version that we did at, 11 o'clock this morning, as we're all having a little coffee talk time. And you could say, restore this version. And that now gets rid of all of the work and all of the things that we've put on it. And it's just ready to go, ready to use for another class and another term.
or make a copy of it.
Oh my goodness, like we can share this with colleagues. Think we made this today. And speaking of make a copy, Jessica and Carmen made this for you today. They want to share that. So you can click below this video and you will get a copy of our write around. Feel free to take it, take that idea, make that copy, try it with your students right away. You absolutely can assign it as make a copy in Google Classroom. You wanted to throw in one thing. We got so excited as we were doing this morning, Carmen. You're like, but what if we wanted to do a map? What if instead of kids coloring these things and like, how do we make it accessible? So talk to me about what you got excited about this morning.
Yeah, so I was thinking about grade 8 social, the Renaissance specifically, and how we can do some mapping with Europe. So yeah, as you mentioned, we often just get students to color, but how cool would it be to actually be able to create something where they can just drag and drop, and if Italy's going to fit in here.
Absolutely, you can rotate. That's so great.
Okay, so students can drag and drop the different countries in here, and then what they can do is use their stickies and they can label.
Oh, fantastic.
So easy as that.
And even like now, maybe we've got labeling. Maybe we've got labeling with a bit more information, a key point that they remember. Like this is just so great because they can build their understanding as they're building that unit. So I love the idea of those manipulatives, and not everybody wants to color. Let's face it. My daughter loves color. My son would throw the crayons across the room. There's no way. So it just depends. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for getting us excited about pizza, excited about Jamboard, excited about leveling the playing field. I love that this is not something I'm making separate for a certain student. This is something that maybe I have a student in mind, but it's just a great way to learn for everyone. So thank you for showing us and sharing these different tools with us, which you can get below this video. And we look forward to seeing everyone in another episode.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
everyone.